Imagine for just 1 second the change jingling inside your pocket, the coins lying forgotten in your kitchen drawer, or the nickel you almost gave away at the gas station could actually be worth a life-changing treasure. Yes, you heard me right. Hidden in plain sight right here in America are coins so powerful, so rare, and so shockingly valuable that one single piece could transform your entire financial future overnight. And here's the chilling truth. Most people will spend these coins without ever realizing the fortune they held in their hands. But not you, not today. Because you've landed on U.S. Coin Worth Secrets, the most trusted channel revealing the truth behind America's most valuable hidden treasures. Today, we're diving deep into the top 10 most valuable and ultra-rare Monticello Jefferson War Nickels and Washington quarters. Coins that collectors around the world are fighting tooth and nail to get their hands on. Coins that don't just carry history, they carry a destiny. A destiny that could put a six-figure treasure straight into your grasp. So tighten your seatbelt, because what you're about to see will shock you, excite you, and leave you checking your own coins the moment this video ends. Stay with me, because the further we go, the more unbelievable these discoveries get. And I promise you this, by the end, you'll never look at pocket change the same way again. Now let's begin our countdown with one of the most legendary hidden treasures of World War II America, the 1944 Jefferson War Nickel minted in Philadelphia, proudly carrying the P mint mark above Monticello. At first glance, it may look like an ordinary nickel, gray in shade, slightly worn, maybe nothing too special. But make no mistake, this coin carries a story so powerful that even holding it in your hand feels like gripping a piece of American wartime history. During 1942 to 1945, the U.S. Mint faced a crisis. Nickel, a vital metal for America's war machinery, was desperately needed to build armor, weapons, and tanks. So the government made a bold and historic decision. They altered the composition of the Jefferson nickel. Instead of the usual copper-nickel blend, these war nickels were struck in an unusual mix of 50% copper, 35% silver, and 9 manganese. That's right, actual silver in a 5-cent coin. And this change wasn't just practical, it became iconic. Because for the first time in U.S. coinage history, the mint mark appeared boldly above Monticello's dome, making these coins stand apart forever. But among these wartime nickels, the 1944 P edition in very fine gray shade condition has risen like a king above the rest. The unique gray toning comes from decades of natural aging, and collectors crave this authentic, untouched look. Every groove, every contour of Jefferson's portrait carries with it the whisper of history. Whispers from an America at war, a nation fighting for freedom, and a mint adapting to the urgency of its time. Now here's where the suspense deepens. These coins weren't printed in massive numbers like pennies or dimes. They were limited, strategic, and their silver content made many vanish over time as people melted them for bullion. Surviving examples in fine condition are like ghosts of the past that refuse to fade. And when a coin like this surfaces in today's auction market, collectors don't just bid, they battle. They push the price higher and higher, knowing they're not just buying metal, but owning a chapter of America's very soul. And let me tell you something that might just make your heart skip a beat. A genuine 1944 P Jefferson War Nickel in this very fine gray shade condition is currently valued at a staggering $120,000. That's not just money. That's a treasure chest in your pocket. A six-figure fortune hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone like you to recognize its worth. This is not speculation, this is the truth. These market values are real, rising day by day, and trusted by the very auction houses that set the standards for collectors worldwide. Think about this for a moment. A coin designed to serve the everyday American during wartime, struck in silver to save resources, is now reborn as a piece of treasure. Its value is not slowing down. It's climbing higher with each auction, each discovery, each collector who understands its power. Holding one means holding the kind of wealth and history most people can only dream of. And here's my faithful advice to every collector listening right now. If you come across a Jefferson War Nickel, don't ever brush it off. Check the mint mark above Monticello. Look at its shade, its condition, its authenticity. Because if you're holding the 1944P in fine gray shade, you're holding a golden ticket, a true treasure of the American coin world. So when I tell you this, trust me, it's not hype, it's fact. This coin is in massive demand, it's respected across the numismatic community, and its value is climbing like a rocket. You could quite literally be holding a piece of fortune without even knowing it. This is why US Coin Worth Secrets exists, to bring you faithful, trustworthy, daily updates on coins that others overlook, but that could change your life. And this 1944 P-War nickel is just the beginning of our countdown. The deeper we go, the more explosive the treasures become. And believe me, the number one coin on this list will absolutely shock you beyond words. If you thought the last coin was a treasure, hold on to your seat, because the story of our next coin is even more electrifying. We're still in the heart of World War II America, but this time, the journey takes us west, all the way to San Francisco, where the U.S. Mint produced a coin that today stands as one of the most breathtaking treasures of American history, the 1944 Jefferson War Nickel with the S mint mark, glowing with a stunning, naturally aged black shade. At first glance, it might appear almost ordinary, darkened by time, softened by years of quiet circulation. But don't be fooled. That black-toned beauty isn't damage. It's history. It's authenticity. It's the coin's natural armor, formed after 8 long decades of life. Collectors don't see it as wear. They see it as character, as proof that this coin is a survivor, a witness to both war and peace. And that's what makes it irresistibly desirable. Let's rewind for a moment. Just like the Philadelphia edition, the San Francisco War Nickel was born out of necessity. Nickel metal was too precious for weapons, so the government switched to an alloy of 35% silver, 56% copper, and 9% manganese. Every single one of these coins literally carried the strength of America's war effort in its design. But here's the twist. Not all minting facilities struck them in the same way. The San Francisco coins had smaller runs, making their survival rate in collectible condition far scarcer. And the 1944S with its jet black patina has become the crown jewel of them all. That aged look is not just pretty, it's a fingerprint of time. It proves the coin hasn't been artificially cleaned, hasn't been tampered with, but has matured gracefully like a fine treasure hidden in a vault. Collectors dream about coins like this because they tell a story you can feel with your fingertips. Now, let's talk rarity, because this is where the suspense explodes. These coins were minted in smaller quantities than their Philadelphia cousins, and over the decades, countless pieces were melted down for their silver content, lost to circulation, or destroyed. The few survivors that remain in fine black-tone condition are like shadows of the past, haunting, rare, and priceless. Every time one appears at auction, it becomes the centerpiece. People don't just bid, they wage wars over it. And when the final hammer falls, the numbers are jaw-dropping. Brace yourself, because a 1944 S Jefferson War Nickel in fine old-look black shade condition commands a staggering $133,000 in today's market. Yes, you heard that right. $133,000. That's a treasure chest, a fortune, a life-changing discovery hidden in something as simple as a 5-cent coin. And this isn't fantasy, this isn't exaggeration. This is the absolute truth of today's auction market. The value is climbing, the demand is surging, and collectors know it. Each year as surviving examples vanish deeper into private collections, the price of this treasure rises higher and higher. That's why experts agree owning one of these is not just owning a coin, it's owning a future fortune. So here's my faithful advice to collectors, treasure hunters, and everyday people checking their change. Don't ignore a dark shaded nickel. Pick it up, examine it carefully, and look for that S mint mark proudly sitting above Monticello's dome. If you're lucky enough to find the 1944 S in its beautiful aged black shade, you've struck gold. Or rather, you've struck silver that's worth far more than its weight. And remember this, what you've just seen is not a fluke. It's real. It's happening now in America's coin market. It's treasure hiding in plain sight, and it could be yours. This is why US Coin Worth Secrets is the channel collectors trust. We reveal the coins most people overlook, the ones that carry not just value, but destiny. The 1944 S Jefferson War Nickel is proof that treasure still circulates among us, waiting for those who believe, who look closer, and who understand the secrets behind America's hidden wealth. And the deeper we go into this countdown, the more shocking the treasures become. Believe me, if you're excited now, you haven't seen anything yet. Now, as we journey deeper into our treasure hunt, the story takes us 1 year earlier, into the very heart of World War II, 1943, a time when every ounce of America's strength was dedicated to victory. And among the sacrifices made, one small but extraordinary change gave birth to a coin that today stands as a dazzling treasure. The 1943 Jefferson War Nickel with the P mint mark, shining in a haunting blend of black and gray shade. When you hold this coin in your hand, you aren't just holding a piece of metal, you're holding the story of America in wartime. Remember, this was the very first time the Philadelphia Mint placed its P mint mark on a coin. Never before had Philadelphia marked its creations this boldly. For collectors, that simple letter is not just a mint mark. It's history, it's significance, it's the very fingerprint of a turning point in U.S. coinage. Like all war nickels, this one was crafted not from the standard nickel alloy, but from a powerful wartime mixture of 56% copper, 35% silver, and 9 manganese. And that silver content gave the coin its destiny. Because while many were later melted for bullion, the survivors became rarer with every passing year. But what truly makes the 1943 piece special in black and gray shade is its look. The dual toning, a natural result of decades of careful aging, gives it an almost ghostly elegance. The black shadows and gray highlights work together like a canvas painted by time itself. Collectors crave this kind of natural patina because it proves authenticity. It tells us the coin was never scrubbed, never polished, never ruined by human hands. It aged gracefully like a hidden treasure waiting to be discovered. And here's where the suspense grips tighter. The 1943 P was minted in large numbers, yes, but survival in fine condition with such unique black-gray toning is a miracle. Many of these coins were lost, spent carelessly, melted, or worn beyond recognition. The few that remain in collectible condition are now fiercely fought over in today's auction markets. And when one surfaces, the results are electrifying. In fact, a genuine 1943 P Jefferson War Nickel in fine black and gray shade condition commands a jaw-dropping $128,000 in the current market. That's not just wealth, that's a fortune disguised as a 5-cent coin. It's the kind of value that makes collectors' hearts pound and bidders battle with unrelenting fire. Let me be clear, this isn't fantasy, this isn't hype. This is truth. The auction houses confirm it. The price you hear is current, faithful, and climbing. With every year, as more examples disappear into private collections, the demand surges and the value follows. This is how treasures are born, not from fiction, but from the undeniable power of history, rarity, and desire. For collectors, here's the advice I give with absolute trust. Check your nickels. Look for the P mint mark boldly resting above Monticello. And if you see that haunting mix of black and gray, don't let it slip through your fingers. Because you may be staring at a piece of history that could transform your life in an instant. And always remember, this is why you're here on U.S. Coinworth Secrets. Because while the world spends coins without thinking, we uncover their hidden destiny. We reveal the treasures hiding in plain sight, the coins that carry not just history but true wealth. The 1943 P War. Nickel in black and gray shade is proof that treasures are still alive among us, waiting for sharp eyes and faithful collectors to claim them. And let me assure you, the deeper we climb up this countdown, the rarer, the more shocking, and the more valuable these coins become. Stay with me because the number one coin will leave you speechless. As we move forward in our countdown, we step once again into the remarkable year of 1943, but this time our journey shifts to the far west, to the San Francisco Mint. Out of this wartime facility emerged one of the most dazzling treasures of American coinage, the 1943 S Jefferson War Nickel, glowing today in a breathtaking golden shade. At first glance, the brilliance of this coin will stop you in your tracks. Unlike the gray or black tones of other war nickels, this piece carries a warm, golden patina, a natural transformation born from its unique wartime silver composition and the slow touch of time itself. It's not artificial, it's not forced. It's the coin's very soul, revealed after 8 decades of aging. Collectors see this golden glow as something magical, almost divine, because it makes the coin appear less like currency and more like a hidden relic, a miniature treasure chest captured in metal. Let's not forget why this coin even exists. During World War II, America's need for nickel metal skyrocketed, as it was essential for tanks, armor, and military weaponry. The U.S. Mint had no choice but to redesign the Jefferson nickel into a new alloy of 56% copper, 35% silver, and 9 manganese. These coins became known as the war nickels, but the San Francisco issues always carried a special prestige. The S mint mark, placed boldly above Monticello's dome, symbolized not just where the coin was struck, but also the rarity and lower production numbers tied to the Western Mint. Now, here's where the golden shaded 1843S becomes extraordinary. While millions were minted, very few survived in very fine condition with this distinct golden patina. The vast majority of these coins were either melted for their silver content, worn down through circulation, or lost altogether. That's why collectors today see a golden shade survivor as a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. It's the kind of coin you can immediately recognize across the room. Glowing with history, glowing with value. And the value? Prepare yourself, because this is no ordinary price tag. A genuine 1943 S Jefferson War Nickel in golden shade, very fine condition, commands a staggering $155,000 in today's market. Yes, $155,000 for a coin that once slipped through the hands of everyday Americans for only 5 cents. This isn't fantasy. It isn't exaggeration. This is the current faithful truth of the auction market. And the number isn't shrinking. It's growing. Every auction, every discovery, every collector's fight pushes this coin's value higher. Why? Because demand is soaring while supply is vanishing. When such a golden shaded treasure surfaces, it ignites an instant battle among elite collectors, each one willing to pay whatever it takes to secure a piece of history that may never reappear in such condition again. Here's the faithful advice I give to every true coin hunter. Never underestimate the shine of a war nickel. If you spot a golden glow, if you see the S mint mark above Monticello, stop and examine carefully. Because you may be holding a treasure that is not just rare, not just valuable, but life-changing. A coin that proves fortune can truly hide in plain sight. And remember this, the market value of coins like the 1943 S Golden Shade War Nickel isn't standing still. It's climbing every single year. Today's $155,000 coin would become tomorrow's $200,000. That's how demand works in the numismatic world. And that's why smart collectors act quickly when fortune comes knocking. This is exactly why you've found U.S. Coinworth Secrets. Because here we don't just talk coins. We feel destiny. We shine the light on the treasures that most people overlook. And this golden shaded war nickel proves it beyond a doubt. But let me assure you, as amazing as this coin is, the journey only gets more unbelievable from here. The coins waiting further down this list will shake your imagination and prove that the world's greatest treasures aren't locked in museums. They might just be resting in your pocket right now. As we climb higher into our treasure list, we now arrive at a coin that marks the true beginning of one of the most legendary chapters in U.S. coin history. This is the 1942 Jefferson War Nickel, struck in Philadelphia, proudly carrying the P Mint mark and shining today in a dignified gray shade. This isn't just any coin. This is the first ever war nickel, the one that started it all. In 1942, America faced an urgent crisis. Nickel was desperately needed for military production, and the government knew it had to act fast. For the first time in history, the U.S. Mint completely changed the composition of the Jefferson nickel, replacing nickel metal with a powerful alloy of 56% copper, 35% silver, and 9 manganese. And here's where it gets even more historic. This was also the first year that the Philadelphia Mint ever used its P Mint mark on a coin. Before 1942, Philadelphia coins carried no mint mark at all. But the war nickel changed everything. From that moment on, the bold P above Monticello became an enduring symbol of both necessity and innovation. That single letter tells us instantly, this is no ordinary nickel. This is wartime treasure. Now let's talk about its look. The gray shade patina that coats this coin isn't damage. It's proof of authenticity, a mark of its natural aging across more than 80 years of history. Collectors crave this dignified gray tone because it represents untouched beauty. A coin that survived circulation yet maintained its character, its story, and its value. But here's where the suspense deepens. The 1942 P wasn't minted in the same massive numbers as later war nickels. It was a transitional year, the first experiment, the beginning of the silver alloy nickels. Many were spent into oblivion, many melted down, and very few have survived in fine condition with this perfect gray patina. That's why the 1942 P is in such extraordinary demand today. It isn't just rare, it's foundational. It's the cornerstone of the entire war nickel series. And when one surfaces at auction, the bidding war is nothing short of breathtaking. Collectors know exactly what they're looking at. The coin that began a revolution. The piece of history that will never be repeated. And when the gavel comes down, the numbers are staggering. A 1942 P Jefferson War Nickel in gray shade fine condition is valued at an astonishing $165,000 in today's market. That's right, $165,000. For a 5-cent coin that once passed quietly from hand to hand, unnoticed, during the darkest days of World War II, today it shines as a fortune, a treasure chest in miniature form, proof that history itself can transform into wealth. And this isn't some inflated story. This is the absolute truth of the market right now. The price is real, it's current, and it's climbing. Every year, collectors compete harder, because every year surviving examples slip further away into private vaults and collections, never to return. That means the demand only gets stronger, and the value only soars higher. For collectors, here's my faithful advice. If you ever spot a Jefferson nickel with the P mint mark above Monticello, stop immediately. Look closer. Because if it carries the date 1942 and that dignified gray patina, you may have struck one of the greatest treasures of American coinage. A coin that doesn't just carry history, but it carries destiny. And remember, this is exactly why U.S. Coin Worth Secrets exists. To bring you faithful, trustworthy knowledge about coins that most people ignore, but that could transform your future. The 1942 P War Nickel is living proof that a small piece of change can hold the kind of value most people only dream of. And let me assure you, as incredible as this is, the coins waiting further down this list are even more shocking. If you think $165,000 is beyond belief, stay with me, because the treasures yet to come will make your jaw drop to the floor. As we cross into the second half of this incredible countdown, we leave behind the wartime nickels and enter the world of quarters, coins that feel heavier in the hand, coins that carried the everyday economy of America for decades. And among them, one stands out like a shining relic of silver and history, the 1904 Washington quarter dollar without a mint mark, glowing today in its beautiful old blackish shade. At first glance, this coin looks like a simple quarter. You might see it darkened by time with that striking blackish patina across its surface and assume it's just ordinary. But what hides beneath this aged look is far from ordinary. This is a coin that carries with it not just silver, not just history, but an almost mythical value in today's collector world. Let's go back to the story. The year 1964 was a pivotal one in U.S. coinage. It marked the very last year that circulating Washington quarters were struck in 90% silver and 10% copper. That's right, every quarter after 1964 lost its silver heart and became clad in cheaper metals. So the 1964 quarter is the end of an era, the final silver warrior of America's pocket change. But what makes this one even more special is the absence of a mint mark. That means it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, and back then Philadelphia coins didn't carry a letter. For collectors, a no mint mark coin in 1964 is not just a silver quarter. It's a symbol of purity, a marker of the last great year of silver circulation. And when you combine that with the unique, naturally aged blackish toning, you have something truly unforgettable. Now let's talk about rarity. 1964 was a massive production year because Americans were hoarding silver coins in fear of their disappearance. But as decades rolled on, most of these quarters were melted, spent into oblivion, or stripped of their silver value. The very few that survive today in fine condition, with a naturally rich blackish patina, are treasures beyond price. Collectors are obsessed with them because the toning proves authenticity. No harsh cleaning, no damage, just the graceful beauty of time. And when such a coin surfaces at auction, the market responds with fury. Collectors fight over it, driving the price into the stratosphere, because they know they aren't just buying a quarter, they're buying a piece of the last silver breath of U.S. coinage. Which brings us to the jaw-dropping truth. A 1964 Washington quarter without mint mark, in fine blackish condition, is valued at an extraordinary $125,800 in today's market. Yes, more than $125,000 for a single quarter. This is not fiction, not hype. This is the current faithful reality. These coins are real treasures, and their value is climbing higher every year as fewer examples remain available. Think about that. A coin that millions once carried in their pockets, spent on groceries or tossed into a fountain, now shines as a six-figure fortune. And the more time passes, the more valuable these survivors become. That's the beauty of silver, of rarity, and of history colliding together into one masterpiece of numismatic art. For collectors, here's my advice. Never ignore a 1964 quarter. Check the date, check the surface, look for that Philadelphia absence of a mint mark. And if you find that old blackish toning, don't walk away, because you may have stumbled upon a treasure that could change your future. And this is why U.S. Coinworth Secrets continues to be the most faithful, trusted source for hidden coin treasures. We bring you the truth, the current values, the secrets others overlook. And this 1964 black-shaded Washington quarter proves it beyond any doubt. But let me warn you, as valuable as this coin is, the journey is only building. The coins still ahead will absolutely shock you with their rarity, their beauty, and their treasure-like values. Stay with me because the biggest surprises are still to come. As we continue our countdown, we travel back to a quieter but equally powerful chapter in American history. The year 1950, the war was over. America was rising as a superpower, and in the pockets of everyday citizens circulated a coin that today is transformed into one of the most sought-after treasures. The 1950 Washington quarter without mint mark, glowing in a breathtaking combination of blackish and golden shade. At first glance, this quarter feels like a work of art sculpted by time itself. The dark black tones flow across its silver surface like shadows of history, while the golden glow highlights its edges with a warmth that only decades of natural aging can create. This is no ordinary toning. This is a living canvas. For collectors, this combination of black and gold is like a rare jewel, a mark of authenticity, a sign that the coin has survived untouched for over 70 years. Let's rewind to its origin. The 1951 quarter, like others of its era, was struck in the classic alloy of 90% silver and 10% copper. It was part of a proud tradition stretching back to 1932, when the Washington quarter was first introduced to honor the 200th birthday of George Washington. By 1951, the design had already become a staple of American life. But the coins of this era were quietly becoming rarer as time marched on. This particular piece, struck at the Philadelphia Mint, hence no mint mark, carries a special significance. Philadelphia quarters of the early 50s were produced in healthy numbers, but survival in today's world is another story. Most were spent into oblivion, melted for silver, or worn down beyond recognition. To find a 1951 quarter in fine condition with this breathtaking black and golden patina is nothing short of miraculous. Now here comes the moment of truth. When such a coin surfaces at auction, collectors don't just bid, they erupt in fierce competition. The combination of silver content, natural dual toning, and rarity drives the price into levels that defy the imagination. And today, the faithful current market value of this treasure is a jaw-dropping $140,000. Yes, $140,000. For a single quarter that once quietly jingled in the pockets of post-war America, spent on newspapers, groceries, or maybe even a movie ticket. Today, it stands as a six-figure treasure, a piece of silver history that could change your fortune overnight. And the truth is, this value isn't slowing down. It's climbing higher every year as more examples vanish into private vaults, locked away forever. For every collector listening, here's my trusted advice. Check those early 1950s quarters. Look for the date, and if you see 1951 with no mint mark, look closer. That black and golden glow is not just beauty, it's destiny. If you find one, you're not just holding a coin, you're holding treasure, proof that fortune still hides in plain sight. And this is why U.S. Coinworth Secrets remains your most faithful source of daily updates on America's rarest coins. Because while the world overlooks old quarters, we reveal the truth, that some of them are treasures worth far more than their weight in silver. And believe me, if this $140,000 Washington quarter has stunned you, the next coins on our list will leave you absolutely speechless. The treasures waiting ahead will redefine everything you thought you knew about pocket change. Now we step into one of the most iconic years in American coinage, 1976, the year our nation celebrated its 200th birthday. Across the United States, fireworks lit the skies, parades filled the streets, and the Mint released a new coin design that instantly captured the patriotic spirit of the American people. The Bicentennial Washington Quarter. This was no ordinary quarter. For the first time in U.S. history, the reverse of design was changed from the traditional eagle to a stunning colonial drummer boy designed by Jack R. That drummer, standing proudly with the torch of victory beside him, symbolized the very heartbeat of freedom. Millions of these quarters were struck for circulation, but today, one specific version has emerged as a breathtaking treasure. The 1996 Bicentennial quarter without mint mark, in fine condition with its naturally aged old look. At first glance, you might see one of these and think, oh, I've seen that before. But look closer. The Philadelphia edition without a mint mark is where the treasure lies. And when combined with decades of natural aging, giving it that soft, old patina collectors love, it transforms into something extraordinary. Now, here's where the story takes a shocking twist. While millions were produced, most bicentennial quarters were heavily circulated, worn flat, or kept as cheap souvenirs. The vast majority are worth little more than face value. But the few survivors in fine condition, untouched and naturally aged, are in massive demand among collectors. Why? Because they represent not just history, but nostalgia, the living memory of America's 200th birthday. And when one of these treasures surfaces at auction, the results are astounding. Collectors who lived through 1976 feel an emotional pull, while younger collectors recognize the historical power of this design. Together, they push the bidding higher and higher until the final hammer falls. So what is the truth? What is the treasure you might be overlooking? Brace yourself, because a 1976 bicentennial quarter without mint mark in old fine condition commands a shocking $85,000 in today's market. That's right, $85,000 for a coin millions once tossed into jars, purses, and parking meters. This is not a myth. This is the faithful, current reality of the market. And here's the most exciting part. Its value is not frozen. The demand for bicentennial coins is exploding year after year, as collectors race to grab the best survivors before they vanish forever. This coin is climbing in value, and experts agree, and it's only a matter of time before its market price surges even higher. For collectors, here's my faithful advice. Never ignore a 1976 quarter. Look for the absence of a mint mark, check its condition, and if you see that graceful old toning, understand what you might be holding. Because it's not just a quarter. It's a treasure chest of American history, and it could be your ticket into the world of six-figure fortunes. And this is exactly why U.S. CoinWorth Secrets exists, to bring you faithful, trustworthy updates on coins that carry hidden value, the ones most people pass by without a second thought. The 1976 bicentennial quarter without mint mark proves that even coins you thought were common can transform into treasures of staggering worth. But let me tell you this. The next coins on our list are even more powerful, even more valuable, and even more shocking. If you've been amazed so far, stay with me, because the last two will absolutely leave you speechless. As we near the very peak of our treasure hunt, we arrive at a coin that carries both the weight of history and the sparkle of destiny. The 1904 Washington quarter with the D mint mark, proudly struck in Denver and today radiating with a stunning yellowish shade that has collectors everywhere in awe. Now let's step back in time. The year 1964 was the last stand for silver in America's circulating coinage. It was the final year that Washington quarters were struck in the legendary 90% silver and 10% copper alloy that collectors prize so dearly. After this year, silver vanished from quarters forever, replaced by cheaper clad metal. That fact alone makes 1964 quarters treasures in their own right. But the Denver issues, with their lower mintage and unique survival rate, have become especially powerful on the market. This particular example shines with a naturally aged yellowish patina. It's the kind of tone that only comes after decades of slow, careful transformation and storage, untouched by polishing or cleaning. Collectors see this golden yellow hue as proof of authenticity, proof of survival, and proof of beauty. It's not just a coin, it's a relic, a piece of history preserved in nature's own artwork. But here's where the suspense builds. Millions of 1964 quarters were struck, yes, but the vast majority were hoarded, melted, or worn into oblivion. To find a 1964 D quarter in fine condition, with this kind of breathtaking yellowish toning, is nothing short of miraculous. These survivors are rare, coveted, and when they hit the auction block, they become the centerpiece of fierce bidding wars. And when the gavel falls, the results are staggering. Today, the faithful current market value of a 1964 D Washington quarter in yellowish shade fine condition is an unbelievable $153,000 for a single quarter. And let me tell you this with absolute certainty. That value is not hype, not fiction. It's truth. It's happening right now in today's auction markets. Collectors know this. They know the 1964 D is the last silver Denver quarter. They know its toning makes it unique. And they know that every year, fewer and fewer surface, while demand only grows stronger. That's why its value doesn't just sit still. It climbs, like a treasure rising higher and higher as the time goes on. For collectors and treasure hunters, here's my trusted advice. Check your silver quarters carefully. Look for the D mint mark, proudly placed just to the right of Washington's bow. And if you see that beautiful yellowish shade across the surface, don't dismiss it. Don't let it slip away. Because you may be holding not just a coin, but a six-figure treasure that could change your life. And this is the very heart of what U.S. Coinworth Secrets is about. Bringing you the truth, the faith, and the updates about America's hidden treasures that most people never realize they're holding. The 1964 D Washington quarter proves beyond a doubt that fortune can hide in plain sight. But now, my friends, we've arrived at the moment you've been waiting for. We've traveled through the nickels, the silver quarters, the bicentennial treasures, and next, the number one coin on this list. The most valuable, the most shocking, the most life-changing of them all. Stay with me because what you're about to see will leave you breathless. And now we arrive at the number one treasure on our list. The coin so shocking, so jaw-dropping, that even seasoned collectors stop in their tracks when they see it. This is not just a coin. This is destiny sealed in silver and copper. The year was 1978, a time when quarters had long since moved away from silver and into clad copper-nickel composition. To most, these coins felt ordinary, just everyday change in your pocket. But from the Denver Mint came a mistake, an accident, a miracle of history. The 1978 Washington quarter with the D mint mark, carrying a dramatic, unforgettable error. This coin is unlike anything else on this list. Look closely, and you'll see it. The date, 1978, is missing the latter half of its 8. A striking error that makes the year incomplete, broken, and forever unique. Error coins have always carried a special power in the collecting world. But this one, with its partially missing date, is one of the most electrifying examples ever found. And here's where the excitement deepens. This coin has the scars of life, light scratches from circulation, proof that it lived among the people, that it was once passed hand to hand like any ordinary quarter. But today, those scratches don't take away from its value. They add to its story. They prove that this coin traveled the real world before being discovered as a one-of-a-kind treasure. Collectors know how rare such major errors are. The mint's quality control makes them almost impossible to escape, yet this survivor did. And when such a coin surfaces, collectors don't just watch, they battle. They push the price into unthinkable territory because they know they are fighting for history itself. And today, in this very moment, the faithful current market value of the 1978 D Washington quarter with its dramatic date error is a mind-blowing $270,300. Yes, over $250,000 for one quarter. A coin that once slipped across counters, dropped into change jars, or disappeared into a drawer, now stands as a treasure chest beyond imagination. This is not a legend, not a rumor. It is the living truth of today's auction markets. And with each passing year, the demand grows, the rarity sharpens, and the value climbs ever higher. For collectors, the advice is clear and urgent. Never ignore errors. Look closely at every coin, study every date, and if you see something strange and even a partial number, a misplaced mark, or an odd strike, understand that you may be staring at a fortune. That's the magic of this hobby. The smallest detail can make the biggest difference. And that brings us to the end of today's incredible journey. From wartime nickels that once fueled victory to silver quarters that preserved our nation's history, all the way to a modern era that redefined treasure itself, this top 10 list proves one truth. Great fortunes are still hiding in your pocket change. And this is why my channel, US Coin Worth Secrets, exists. Faithful, truthful, and updated daily, I am here to reveal the coins that others overlook, the treasures that could transform your life. If you've felt the excitement tonight, if you've been shocked by the truth, then know this: we're just getting started. Because tomorrow, next week, and beyond, even more secrets are waiting to be uncovered, and I will bring them straight to you. So stay faithful, stay curious, and keep watching. The next coin we reveal may very well be the one sitting in your pocket right now. This is US Coin Worth Secrets, where ordinary change becomes extraordinary treasure.